Belfer Audio Archive, one of the largest sound archives in the country. We add in a related storyline, whether it be about the performers, the songs, or something else entirely. From vaudeville to vinyl, you'll hear it all on Soundbeat. Soundbeat is produced at the Belfer Audio Archive, Syracuse University Libraries.
Tune in for Philosophy Talk, the program that questions everything
except your intelligence.
Coming up, trolling, bullying, and flame wars, humility, and online discourse.
Why are people so rude and arrogant online?
Because they're anonymous and not held accountable.
But they're rude and arrogant online even when they're not anonymous.
Let's not start a flame war.
Trolling, bullying, and flame wars. Next time on Philosophy Talk.
Listen to Philosophy Talk today at noon on KSJE 90.9 FM, Farmington. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, here to meet your urgent and emergent medical needs, whether they are COVID-19 related or not. Medical emergencies happen when you least expect them, whether it's a stroke, heart attack, illness, or injury. San Juan Regional Medical Center's caregivers are here to provide care to you and your loved ones. Find out more online at sanjuanregional.com. Ten minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Tuesday morning, January the 26th, 2021. Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Michlin. Thanks for tuning in to KSJE 90.9 FM over the air here in San Juan County, New Mexico, 103.3 FM over the air in Durango, Colorado, and streaming everywhere, of course, from our website, ksje.com. Welcome also to our viewers who are watching this visual radio program. The video is streaming live this morning to the KSJE Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and our Twitter account. So we are glad that you are with us, everybody. Coming up, let's get some business out of the way to talk about some weather impacts this morning across the region today. Bloomfield schools, they are doing all remote learning today, and Central Consolidated schools are on a 2-hour delay today, from what we have been told. Also, Durango schools are on a 1-hour delay. Cortez schools a 2-hour delay, and Navajo Technical University are on a 2-hour delay. And of course, you can get the latest list of school closures from our website at ksje.com. We've got them updated throughout the day for you there all the time, as well as links to road condition information and other travel advisories as well. Now, coming up on the program, we'll get a live update from Bloomfield Schools because my guest this morning is none other than Bloomfield Schools Superintendent Dr. Kim Mizell. She'll be joining me in just a few more moments here on KSJE, so stay tuned for that. Then later on this hour, about 8:50 a.m., I'll be talking with Amber Francisco from the Farmington Regional Animal Shelter about some of the pets that the shelter has for adoption this week. And for our viewers, you can kind of see on the screen, there's some parakeets on the adoption list this week. So we'll learn more about them coming up this morning at 8:50 a.m. on KSJE. Next hour, Mick Hess will take us roving with the arts. It's a special program today. It is the start of Mick's year-long series that he's going to be presenting to us on the second and fourth Tuesday of every month, highlighting musicians who were imprisoned during World War II and listening to some of the music that they wrote while imprisoned. And, of course, some of these composers perished during the Holocaust. Others survived. So he'll be talking about 3 of those men today on Roving with the Arts, the beginning of our year-long series called Hope Not Hate, coming up today on Roving with the Arts at 9:06 on KSJE. Don't forget, in addition to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, you can also connect with KSJE on Instagram as well. And here's our weather forecast for today. We are expecting decreasing clouds throughout the day today, but still numerous chances for snow showers off and on today. The high 30 degrees in Farmington. Very cold tonight with a low of 9. Sunshine, though, returns tomorrow with a high of 34. On Wednesday with a low of 19. partly sunny skies on Thursday with a high of 44 degrees and an overnight low of 29. Then take a look. Another chance of rain showers and warmer temperatures on Friday with a high of 49 degrees and an overnight low of 30 degrees. And then partly sunny skies for Saturday with a high near 40. Sunshine on Sunday. And again, mostly sunny skies for the weekend. Well, let me turn to my guest who is joining me this morning from her office at the Bloomfield School District in Bloomfield, New Mexico. Dr. Kim Mizell is on the program this morning. Dr. Mizell, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you, and thank you for joining me this morning. As I mentioned, your district is on a all-virtual learning schedule today. Is that correct?
That's correct. We had icy roads south of Bloomfield, so we went ahead and went to remote learning.
Very good. And so that brings up something that I know you're going to be talking about with your school board this week, as soon as, I guess, tomorrow night at your regular meeting, right? A proposal to kind of stay in virtual learning for Bloomfield schools?
Yes, that's a discussion that we're going to have. There are 4 factors that we're considering the reason why we need to move in that direction. The first one is we are required to have 10% of our employees be tested every week in order to stay in a hybrid setting, and we are not getting teachers that are willing to get tested. So that's become an issue. The next issue is there is no vaccine for teachers as of yet, and that has been postponed or delayed for quite a period. And then also the rules on contact tracing that have to happen if someone exposes another person with COVID-19 requires a lot of contacting and keeping track of the individuals that may or may not have been exposed. So the calling that's happening, and for example, this last weekend we had 3 cases where we were notified on the weekend and having to call people and let them know that they've been exposed. And then we had a forced closure at Central Primary. With the rules that happen that are in place right now, it's very difficult to keep your school open. And so that is the 3rd reason why. And then the 4th reason that we're looking at is the level of inconsistency with going back and forth between hybrid and remote. And if we continue to have to follow the guidelines and rules, Bloomfield schools will be going in and out of hybrid and remote until those rules change or we get vaccination. And so we're just really struggling with living within the guidelines for having hybrid learning.
Right, understood. And so the way you've spelled it out, it seems like this is a kind of a hardship for your district. Is this something maybe that affects districts of your size, maybe more so than a larger district that maybe could absorb some of these things, or has staff to help with some of these things you're talking about?
It has to do with resources and people.
Right.
So if you have to quarantine 3 or 4 teachers and those entire classrooms, that means you're going to have to figure out who's going to cover for different things in the school, the schedule that's in place for hybrid. It's a lot of adjusting, and then not only that is the contact tracing that has to happen. And I literally have one person that does it because you have to have a designated person. And this individual has been working 24/7 for 7 days a week since all of this has happened. And it just gets to the point where it's more than you can manage. And so we're struggling in that area. And so that's something that I want the school board to consider in the future, continuing with hybrid learning.
Sure. And a lot of that work, if I'm not mistaken, is very time sensitive, right? When you're talking about contact tracing, I mean, you are kind of mandated to get in touch with these people as quickly as you can. Isn't that right?
Yes, you have to notify them, also contact the State Department within 48 hours.
And
so it's a time sensitive situation.
Right. And is the public education department providing any guidance for districts like yours who are struggling with some of these things, or have they wanted to leave it up to you and your school board to decide how to move forward?
Obviously, we're always in support of local control, and under the rules that we are currently having to adhere to, it has become very difficult to maintain a hybrid setting in the school district. And so I did contact the State Department and spoke with someone. They're supposed to be making an announcement today at 9. And if you watch the trends throughout the nation, New York's opening up, California's opening up. So maybe there'll be good news and we don't have to have the meeting. But right now, if it continues with the same restrictions and rules, we are really struggling around that.
Understood. So to be clear to our audiences this morning, Dr. Mizell, I just want them to understand that as the rules stand right now, as of Tuesday morning, you are going to present to your school board tomorrow night a proposal to remain in all remote or virtual learning for your students.
Yes, until further notice. So, like we're waiting on the vaccinations, we're waiting on the possible change of rules as far as managing it in the school. For example, in a large high school like Bloomfield High School, if you have more than 4 cases in 14 days, you'll get a letter from the State Department saying your high school will be closed until the county is in green. And we all know that the county is far from being in green. So that is a very big concern as well. It's a very limited number that you can have in your schools. And so if you live by the rules and try to do it with fidelity, I think most school districts will find themselves challenged in how to manage it.
Understood. And I just want to ask you about one of the other things you brought up, which is the number of your teachers who are planning to get the vaccine or become vaccinated. It's not mandatory for teachers at Bloomfield schools, and so that is a personal choice for your teachers. But that leads you in this other situation: is if you have teachers that are not vaccinated, then that's a possible risk for them and students, I suppose.
Right, and that's the choice that people make. A good percentage of our teachers were wanting to get the vaccination, and so that helps with my concern for our employees. However, the ones that don't, that's going to be the risk they take, because then at that point, probably the schools will be opened up, and it will play out however it does.
Right, that's a personal decision, personal responsibility decision on their part as more vaccines roll out. I know there are a lot of parents, and I'm sure a lot in your district, as every others, that would like to see their students back face-to-face in school. But as you talk about, some of the things that you as a superintendent have to juggle and look at are the safety of your staff and the safety of your students, and just the feasibility of doing face-to-face learning under these other conditions, right? That's what led into your decision?
Yes. It's also about resources.
Right.
We don't have the people readily available. We had to close a school down before Thanksgiving for that very reason, and we were having a lot of cases coming into the schools. And so we went back into remote a week before Thanksgiving. I was trying to make it to Thanksgiving, but it was basically in every elementary school that we were having case after case on a daily basis, and so it became evident that it was best to move into remote, which I'm glad we did. I was hopeful that the delayed start on the return would have helped with quarantine protocols for families that were getting together over the holidays and everything, but we're still seeing quite a few cases at every site, and it doesn't seem, Bloomfield is not that high in cases. However, it only takes one person that can potentially expose many people, depending on who that person is and how much they're circulating around a school, if they're on duty, they're doing things with kids. And so it's quite challenging. And so, I think that this will be something eventually that will hit other districts. We're a pilot district for that for the surveillance testing, and we started it early, and we're starting to really struggle with the volunteers for that, for testing.
Understood. And so, Dr. Mizell, let me shift gears just a bit and talk to you a little bit about the remote learning. Of course, you and I have talked a lot about some of the unique things that Bloomfield did at the beginning of the school year, even by having packets available for your families to pick up in case they couldn't maybe get on online on a regular basis, and some of those things, because that's another challenge for your district and others in New Mexico, is a lot of your families don't have regular access to reliable internet access. And so can you give us an update on how the remote learning efforts are going for your students and your teachers?
It has been going fairly well. I want to say that at the secondary level, we've really addressed the failure concerns and cut those way down. The kids are doing more engagement. We're doing a lot more outreach to the families and contacting people if their child, has missed class. There's also, if their child is behind, they can pick up packets. Unbeknownst to us, for example, south of Bloomfield, they had a tower that went down. And so we had a whole bunch of kids for about 2 weeks that weren't engaging, and so we found out that was the reason for that. So we will support the families and the students if they let us know, and provide them with learning materials. As far as the virtual remote learning, 3rd through 12th grade, everyone has their own devices. Our big concern is the lower grade levels. We have been doing packet pickups and deliveries for those children that don't have the ability or a computer at home. So there are materials available. We did a survey, and about 76% of our families have some form of a device, whether it be a computer or phone. We've provided hotspots, and we're adding more hotspots for some more children that are in need of internet access that if we go into remote. So we have been in communication with getting those. And so we're trying to support the best we can under the circumstances. I know that the Navajo Nation and the chapter houses have also partnered with us for providing hotspot locations, and we have family members that are on our IEC committee, which is the Indian Education Committee. They have hotspots in their local communal living situation, so they're supporting other families with those hotspots. So distribution, as far as we know, that it's going fairly well. We've done a lot of planning and preparing for virtual learning curriculum, so we're well aligned with the standards and requirements for all the students. And we're really monitoring our seniors this year for graduation requirements. And so we're keeping our fingers on the pulse of what's going on in our district with the families and students. And we've had a positive impact that way. So, and some of our test results are showing that the kids are actually maintaining and doing okay academically. So we're pleased with those results as well.
Right, and that is something to celebrate, I would say, especially in this very unique and different year. I know in everyone, it seems every superintendent I talk to in all their years of education, this is certainly something that we have never seen before, and certainly for your district as well. And the fact that students can maintain how they're doing with all these other distractions and things that are going on has got to be something to celebrate to a certain degree, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we're very pleased with our mid-year results.
Very good. You mentioned your seniors, and I know, again, for parents, they are concerned about their seniors, and so you are working with all your seniors to make sure that they have the necessary requirements to graduate at the end of the year in May?
Yes, right now we've established all alternative demonstration of competency for those seniors, and we've been bringing them in with a 5-to-1 ratio to do some additional testing. Like, for example, if they get accepted into San Juan College, that is one of the alternative credentials that they can get. If they take the ASVAB assessment for the military, that's another one. We have work keys assessment that we provide as well if they pass with that. So there's alternative paths to graduation if there is a concern with credits. So, and then we also have moved into course requirements, and if they pass the course, they will get the credit. And so we've built in some measures to support them if they're a concern. For example, by the third quarter, if they're still in, there's a problem with them getting a credit, we will give them an opportunity to come in and take a common interim assessment that we provide that would be demonstration of competencies in our district. And so kind of like a CLEP out scenario, but that won't happen until the third quarter. So we're trying to support them a lot before that happens. So that's kind of your last effort for graduation. But our numbers have gone down significantly. Students got their work in, they've turned in required coursework, and so we've been pleasantly pleased with the results of our efforts and the outreach efforts that we've had. And those started right after Thanksgiving, so we've been doing that quite a bit this year.
Understood. Well, and I think I can speak safely on behalf of San Juan College when I say for your seniors, send them over. We'd love to have them here at San Juan College. So that's great. I want to ask you something, too, about your seniors and some of your other students at Bloomfield schools, and that is the annual car giveaway at the end of the school year. You are tracking that. It has been kind of a perfect attendance type of a situation in the past. This year, of course, is this year, so it's a little bit different. So give us an update on how things are going for the cars that you are planning to give away still at the end of the year.
Yes, I just pulled that information as well, and right now we have 312 students that have a 3.5 or higher on their GPA. So that equivalent, actually 42% of our students are actually eligible right now, possibly cars. So that is good news as well. I think the ones that are taking advantage of this remote learning about how to be successful, and so we're pleased with those results as well.
Very exciting. And so you changed the rules just a little bit from attendance to a GPA, but these are for your older students, right? 16 plus, or is that how you have it kind of set down, or by grade level?
It's just high school students, so freshmen to 12th grade.
Okay. And how many cars do you have lined up, Dr. Mizell, to hand out this spring?
We have 2 cars.
So from those 300-odd students that you mentioned, they'll be eligible, if they keep their grades up, for a chance to win one of 2 vehicles at the end of the school year.
Right.
Those are pretty good odds. I'm not a math guy, but those are pretty good odds, I would think.
Yeah. My goal was to encourage them to be engaged in the learning process, however challenging it may be, and I think quite a few of them are taking advantage of that.
I think that's great, and you are to be commended. This is something you've been doing for a number of years at Bloomfield Schools, of course, and again, I know the other businesses that are also helping. You couldn't do it alone, and kudos to them, and remind us again who the business partners in the community that help you make this possible.
Zimes Ford is the partner that we purchased the vehicle to give us a very nice deal. They've always been very supportive. Then all of the local businesses that put advertisement in, that generates the funds to get these types of promotional items for the district. Give them back to the students. For example, if we were playing sports, they would all get a athletic T-shirt this year. We've given those out every year, and they're really unique for every year, and it's kind of a badge of honor, I guess, that you get a Bloomfield T-shirt for playing sports. And so we've had a lot of success with that program. So I'm hopeful that whoever wins the car is someone that really needs it, and they've worked hard for it. So.
I'm sure, and that's what's happened in previous years as well. Some great stories of the recipients of those vehicles when you give them away at the end of the school year. Dr. Mizell, we just have a couple of minutes remaining together this morning. I wanted to ask you a bit about the legislative session that is going on in Santa Fe. It's a 60-day session this year, and I know you are watching, as a lot of folks are, some of the bills that are going through and some of the proposals and funding and budgets and things like that. Is there anything that's caught your eye thus far in the Roundhouse?
I know with the LFC and LESC budgeting, they plan for, which is the Legislative Finance Committee and Legislative Education Study Committee, have recommended that we maintain our 2020 SEG numbers, which is our student unit value, and also enrollment numbers. So that's very positive in the sense that, we've all had reduction in students for those families that have moved or decided to go ahead and go into homeschooling for this year under the circumstances. And so we're going to be able to maintain our staffing based on that information. So that's very positive. There is one bill that we're all watching, and it talks about local control over opening and closing of schools based on the pandemic situation. And there was recently a lawsuit about overreaching and overstepping out of the State Department on rules and regulations and what we have to do to keep our students safe, and it's really been taken out of the local control's hands to have to live by certain requirements. And so there's a bill that's going through right now to put that back into our control and the local school board control. And we're all very much supporters of that because our communities are very unique. And we need to make sure that we're adapting accordingly to what our community wants and what we need to do to provide education for our students.
Right. But I would imagine the other things that you mentioned about maybe the hold harmless, if you will, some of those enrollment numbers and things like that, that's got to make you breathe a sigh of relief a little bit about funding, because I know a lot of school districts were concerned because unfortunately the enrollment drop has been somewhat significant in districts.
Right. Which would be really adversely impact our communities because a lot of the school districts are the largest employers of their communities. And so if we were not able to be held harmless, we would have been laying off people, and we don't have to do that for this next year, which is nice.
Right. Very good. Well, that's good news. And again, Dr. Mizell, we are hopeful that things will keep improving in our state, in our county, and in the Bloomfield School District as we move forward. And we'll talk again next month and see how things are going. So I look forward to that.
Thank you so much. You have a nice day.
Thank you. You too. I appreciate it very much. That's Dr. Kim Mizell, Superintendent of Schools with the Bloomfield School District, my guest here on KSJE. Back with more in just a moment, everyone. The time is coming up on 8:38.